the co-host. But thank you, Latina. You did a very good job. Okay, go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, so I'm doing the. Oh crap! I'm sorry.
You can introduce yourself. Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot about that. I'm Sabrina Lee. I'm going to be a sophomore this year. I'm 15, and this is my topic. So basically, this started all back when Siddhartha had first left the castle walls. He got to see a bunch of the suffering that others dealt with outside. He saw an old man, sick man, dead man, and an ascetic. After encountering the first three, he realized that he was going to also be a subject to this. Sooner or later, he would age, get sick, and eventually die. Him realizing this would torment him, realizing nothing in his life was forever. He would leave one night. He'd learn some spiritual discipline, meditation from various teachers. Then one day he would leave and venture off on his own and sit under a tree in the village of Bodh Gaya, where he had vowed to obtain enlightenment or die. While meditating, he had started to understand the Four Noble Truths in a flash of illumination. He realized that people suffered because they insisted on permanent states of being in a constantly changing world. People had defined themselves by their jobs, their family, their possessions, and thought of these things as permanent and stable when they could not possibly be, because nothing in life was. Their craving for permanence in an ever-changing world caused one to suffer, and so the end of suffering must necessarily allow from an end to craving. One could end craving, he realized, by redirecting one's energies and thoughts from unproductive channels which only increase attachment, craving, and suffering, to productive ones that encourage non-attachment, serenity, and love, both for oneself, others, and the entire illusory world. So what are the Four Noble Truths? In simple words, these truths show us suffering exists. It tells us that suffering has a cause, it has an end, and a cause leading to the end. In ways, the Noble Truth is not intended to convey in negative ways, but in a more open-minded thinking. In the end of this teaching, we must come to understanding that aging, sickness, and death are certain and unavoidable. These Four Noble Truths teach us ways on how to deal with the suffering we face in everyday lives, physical or mental. The Four Truths are truth of suffering, truth cause of suffering, truth ending suffering, truth path leading to ending of suffering. The first one is truth of suffering. It means life contains inevitable and unavoidable suffering. So the Buddha recommended that the first step in curing suffering was to understand the situation at its roots. The second noble truth is the cause of suffering. Right here in this photo, it says the second noble truth, the arising cause of suffering. Suffering does not arise out of chance or without cause. The Dhammapada states that from craving springs grief, from craving springs fear. For him who is wholly free from craving, there is no grief, whence fear. The third noble truth is truth ending of suffering. Basically is that Buddha strongly affirms that the complete cure of suffering is possible and attainable. The fourth noble truth is path leading to end of suffering. Here are some types of suffering. Some can be physical, pain. Some are physical, which includes pain, illness, disability, hunger, poverty, and death. Some mental ones are grief, hatred, frustration, guilt, humiliation, anxiety, loneliness, and self-pity. I found a video I would like to share.
You're not here.
You can't hear?
No, we cannot hear.
I don't know how it would work that.
Oh, do you have because sometimes you need to have the the monitor, the to plug in, so you can use the speaker from the monitor. It's better than sometimes the laptop is not powerful enough to produce the sound.
Do I need to take out my earbuds?
Oh, you want me to send me the link? I can play for you, I guess.
Okay.
Send me to the chat. I hope I can be able to so. Let me, hold on. Let me end your sharing.
Sanskrit called dukkha.
Can you hear it?
Dukkha. Pali also dukkha.
Sabrina, you can hear it?
Dukkha, meaning
I can hear it, yeah.
of dukkha is non-satisfaction. You cannot satisfy, cannot appreciate what you have. Always need more, more, more. Feeling of not complete, feeling of something missing. And that has many, many different levels. But when we translate into in the West, many texts say suffering. But I think when you hear the word suffering, it's more like you feel like pain, or you only think about the pain, obstacle, problem, having hard time, more like a lot of feeling of very, very unhappy feeling, yeah. But whether we use translation as suffering or non-satisfaction, the meaning is the dukkha. Dukkha means more like problem, more like non-satisfied, always feeling of not perfect. Okay. And this, what we call, maybe I will use now term as suffering, because normally I using these words. Today I'm going to use. But suffering is not only the pain. Even pleasure, feeling of pleasure with the grasping, could be suffering. I will tell you this meaning more later. And the suffering is very important to practice also. For example, the first teaching of the Buddha was already achieved enlightenment in India under Buddha tree in the center part of India, like Bodh Gaya. Then after that, Buddha went to Varanasi, giving first Dharma talk, the first wheel of training Dharma. And there's five main students of Buddha. The first teaching, when he teaches to the five main disciples. The beginning of teaching is, Bhikkhu, life is suffering. So the beginning teaching is the suffering. Looks like very depressing. We come here to learn that the teaching which is for liberation, freedom. But the teaching beginning is, life is suffering. Oh, looks like depressing. But actually, Buddha said, the practice of what we call the first noble truth. The first noble truth is the suffering. Life is suffering. So this is very important. The practice of the first noble truth is knowing suffering is suffering, knowing nature of suffering. So if you know nature of suffering, then you can free from suffering. So one of the best way to eliminate, to be free from suffering, to recognize suffering. For example, Buddha said suffering is like disease. So if you got disease, then you have to check with the doctor. Lot of check. You have to check with the blood, X-ray, or different tests, the blood pressure. You have to spend a lot of money for checking the what disease you are suffering, what disease you got, what kind of disease you got. So first you have to spend a lot of time to see, to check, to examine. Then you know how to eliminate the disease, yeah? That's why similar here. First important is to recognize suffering as suffering. If you not recognize suffering as suffering, then you are one with the suffering. And then it's almost like you fall into the river and you are carried by river. But if you look at the river, if you're aware of the river, then you are already out of river. Then you can see it. If you are in the river, falling into the river, you cannot see, you suffer, you cannot see the river. This is why develop awareness of suffering is very important.
Very good. Very good explanation. Good. Go ahead, Sabrina. If you have more to say, you can go ahead and share your stream.
Okay. And how to end suffering is by applying the Eightfold Path into your life. I'm going to make this brief because I kind of added this on. I'm sorry. It was quite long now that I realize it. But basically, the Eightfold Path is found to guide you to the end of suffering, basically. So the path is right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Here's one of the parts is ethical or moral conduct. Basically, it's built on the God's conception of universal love and compassion for all living beings, on which the Buddhist teaching is based. The Buddha gave his teachings for the good of the many, for the happiness of the many, out of the compassion for the world. Right speech is not saying anything negative, basically not telling any lies, backbiting, slander, cursing, not hating on someone, something like that. Right action is basically doing peaceful conduct, not resulting to violence, stealing, killing, more like that. Right livelihood is not to bring basically harms to others, keeping peace, not holding or trading lethal weapons, drinking, killing animals, and more. Overall, these three factors of the Eightfold Path constitute ethical conduct. It should be realized that the Buddhist ethical and moral conduct aims at promoting a happy and harmonious life, both for the individual and for society. This moral conduct is considered as the indispensable foundation for all higher spiritual attainments. No spiritual development is possible without this moral basis. Mental discipline is the next one. It includes right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right effort is the energetic will to prevent evil and unwholesome states of mind from arising and to get rid of such evil and unwholesome states that have already arisen within a man, and also to produce to cause to arise good and wholesome states of mind not yet arisen, and to develop and bring to perfection the good and wholesome states of mind already present in a man. For mindfulness is to be diligently aware, mindful, and attentive with regard to the activities of the body, sensations or feelings, the activities of the mind, and ideas, thoughts, conceptions, and things. Right concentration is the last factor of mental discipline. This basically leads to the 4 stages of Danya, generally called transfer reculement. In the first stage of this, passion, desires, and certain unwholesome thoughts like such as lust, ill will, anger, worry, relentlessness, and skeptical doubt are discarded. So no negative thoughts like these. Wisdom, so these are the remaining 2 factors, namely right thought and right understanding, constitute wisdom in the Noble Eightfold Path. Right thought denotes the thoughts of selfless renunciation or detachment, thoughts of love, and thoughts of non-violence, which are extended to all beings. So basically nothing negative. Right understanding is the understanding of things of how they are. It is the Four Noble Truths that explain as they really are. Right understanding, therefore, is ultimately reduced to the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. This understanding is the highest wisdom which sees the ultimate reality. And there's more, but I don't want to take too much time. So basically, the recap of all this is that the Eightfold Path, one may see this, that it is a way of life to be followed, practiced, and developed by each individual. It is self-discipline in body, word, mind, self-development, and self-purification. It has nothing to do with belief, prayer, worship, or ceremony. In that sense, it has nothing which may popularly be called religious. It is a path leading to the realization of ultimate reality, to complete freedom, happiness, peace peace through moral, spiritual, and intellectual perfection. And here are the questions.
Do you have answer for that?
Yeah, it doesn't have to like. I didn't want to make it A, B, C, or D. If you don't know, it's gonna be fine. You can at least just say like the first, like which one was the first man he saw.
Anyone share it through the chat? You respond to the question number 1.
Oh, sorry. Number 1 is, what was the order Siddhartha saw the suffering of each man?
Okay.
And it was old, sick, dead, and the last one would have been ascetic. So number 2 is, the Four Noble Truths are intended negatively, and what way are they wanted to be seen as? Oh, sorry. So I was trying to ask. The Noble Truths are intended to be seen, are intended negatively. In what way are they intended to be seen as? Okay, sorry, that didn't make sense. Probably no one would get this, so I would just explain. Basically, it's supposed to be open-minded thinking was what I was trying to ask. I must have worded it wrong. I'm sorry about that. But number 3 is, what is the meaning of dukkha? It is not suffering. It basically just means like it's not non-satisfaction or just unsatisfied, not satisfied. The person explained it in the video. Number 4, and I think it was also in the video, the Buddha said, suffering is like blank. And it is disease. And number 5 is, how do you end suffering?
So how do we end the suffering? Anyone? It should be very easy, right? Said in the last one, remember? Okay, that's one way.
That is one way, but basically it's also most likely in the Eightfold Path, but basically it's by applying the Eightfold Path into your life. So yeah, that is somewhat right. Samadhi is, I kind of went through this pretty fast, so if I can give you a hint, it is the first, the Eightfold Path, the first path. So it's the first one that was listed. And it is C. Number 7, true or false? The Four Noble Truths teaches us ways on how to deal with the suffering we face in everyday lives, physical or mental. And it is A. So number 8 is, which one below is not one of the ethical conduct of the Eightfold Path? And this one is B. Number 9 is, why did humans suffer?
Let me the second number 2. Remember? Hmm.
Oh. I lost my mouse. Where did it go? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I just lost where my mouse went. I found it. Okay, sorry. Basically, they crave for permanence in an ever-changing world. So yeah, I guess you could say desire and all that.
Desire and ignorance is same thing.
Yeah. Started understanding more about the Four Noble Truths.
Um,
And it is Bodh Gaya.
yeah, very good. Very good.
Here
You
are the
get-
extra links I use.
Wow.
And yes.
Wow.
Sorry, I took too long. Thank you.
That's good. That's really good. You did really good. Very good job. Because time is running out. So let me so you guys done with the topic. I want to ask you what is your next topic? Next week we will not have for the whole week. Next week we do not have class. So all right. So let's start from Tina. With the next, what is your next topic?
Can I see other topics?
Okay, the first one is Four Noble Truths. The second one is the Eightfold Path. The third one is the Law of Karma. The fourth one is Karmic Affinity. And next week I will put more topic into it. But tell me which one, and I give you a chance to take a picture.
Can I do the law of karma?
The Law of Karma. I'm gonna take a picture.
Okay.
Okay. What about Sabrina?
I'll do karmic affinity.
Okay, take a picture of that. Okay, Olivia, but you still working on your topics? Okay. Next week I do not have class, so you can have the whole week. But so far we did really good in this class. I really like it. And you know what? Let's stop right here. Let's stop right here. Okay, Olivia, go ahead and do this one. Go.
May every living being, our mind is one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with her is luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise, may all become compassionate and wise.
But before we leave, let me. I will stop